Welcome to OMRON Sustainability Talks podcast, where we dive deep into eco-conscious solutions and innovations shaping our world. I'm your host, Andrea Ford, and today we have an important topic to discuss: how OMRON innovates for a sustainable future. That means that we are going to see its commitments and initiatives regarding the environmental, social, and governance, the ESG, aspects of the business. Joining us today is Anna Stammers, Head of Sustainability at OMRON Management Center Europe. So, without further ado, hello Anna.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here.
Anna, before we delve deep into today's topic, could you tell our listeners more about what it is that you are responsible for as a Head of Sustainability?
Yes, of course. And indeed, it's a pleasure to be here. So let me give a bit of background. At OMRON, I'm responsible for supporting the translation of our OMRON SF 2030, or Shaping the Future 2030, sustainability goals into regional, medium, and short-term strategies and action plans. And it means that I have to collaborate with lots of different teams across all different business companies to design programs, to manage sustainability goals, to fulfill reporting requirements, and to engage with other stakeholders on sustainability issues.
You mentioned the OMRON's global sustainability goals. How does that relate to OMRON innovating for a sustainable future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, OMRON has been a leader in the automation and technology industry for over 90 years already. And our founder believed that companies do not just exist to make profit. A company is part of society and therefore also has to serve that society. That is why it's our mission to improve lives and contribute to a better society. And that mission embodies the spirit of our company, our ambition to be creating innovation, and our desire to build a better society.
It seems sustainability is part of your DNA, right?
Yes, I would say so. Innovating for a sustainable future is really at the center of everything that we do. And I think we do that by always putting people and the planet at the forefront of our decisions and actions.
And how do you do that?
I think it's the easiest if I demonstrate and explain three important commitments that we've made. The first one is that as OMRON, we strive for a healthy, carbon neutral, inclusive, digitized society, which we do through automation that empowers people. The second commitment is to practice respect for all and conduct ethical business across the whole OMRON Group value chain. Mm-hmm. And the third and last commitment is that we mitigate our impact on climate change by striving for a carbon neutral manufacturing and sustainable product design.
And has OMRON set targets to make such commitments tangible?
Yes, we have. In 2022, we have set global financial and non-financial goals, which are in line with, again, our Shaping the Future 2030 long-term vision. And that vision covers a period of 9 years in total and is divided into 3 different stages. And for each of those stages, we develop a medium-term plan. We are right now in the first stage, which spans from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 24. And we have set goals for that period.
And can you give us some examples of OMRON's environmental goals and key initiatives?
Sure. Let me zoom in on the E for environment under ESG that you introduced at the beginning.
Yeah.
We've set a target to reduce greenhouse gas or GHG emissions from our own operations. And we do that because greenhouse gas emissions have been linked to climate change. So the higher your emission, the more negative your impact on the planet is, to put it very black and white. And if you look at emissions, typically you look at 3 different perspectives. You look at direct emissions that come from company-owned and controlled resources, which is called Scope 1. You have indirect emissions. That is, for example, the generation of purchased energy, so utility providers. That is scope 2. And all other indirect emissions are not included in the second scope. In the whole value chain of your company, so that's a very broad scope, is called scope 3. So that's upstream and downstream. And as OMRON, we have set targets for scope 1 and 2. We aim to achieve a 53% reduction by the end of fiscal year 24 compared to our 2016 level. And that ultimately puts us on track for a 65% reduction by 2030 and to work towards our overall long-term goal of net zero by 2050. And it's important to mention that our targets are independently validated by the Science-Based Targets Initiative, or SBTI. That means that a business setting science-based targets demonstrates the level of ambition possible when it comes to decarbonization. And about over 4,000 businesses across regions and industries have set emissions and reduction targets in climate science through this initiative.
You said that you aim to achieve a 53% reduction by the end of this fiscal year and the 65% by 2030. But where is OMRON today on reaching that goal?
Well, actually, we've already achieved a 62% reduction versus our initial 53. So I would say we're doing quite well. And every year we report our progress on our website and in the integrated report also for everyone to see and read up on.
Okay. And how does OMRON approach sustainability and its manufacturing processes?
Yeah, that's a good question. As I mentioned earlier, our strategy for mitigating our impact on climate change centers around striving for carbon neutral manufacturing and sustainable product design. But within that, we have 4 key focus areas. The first one is to contributing to a decarbonized society by reducing our GHG emission. The second one is reducing our environmental impact by managing chemical substances. The third one is our focus for a transition to circular economy. And 4, and last, is mitigating our environmental impact in the OMRON Group value chain together with suppliers.
And OMRON is also a member of the EP 100. And as far as I know, as a member, you are committed to doubling your energy productivity. So how does OMRON aim to achieve that?
Yeah, let me first indicate what EP stands for. So that stands for energy productivity. And EP 100 is indeed a global corporate initiative led by the Climate Group. And it brings together 125 ambitious businesses like OMRON committed to improving their energy efficiency. We joined in 2022 and pledged our commitment to doubling the energy productivity of our industrial automation and healthcare business by 2040. So that's a bit of background, but you also asked me how. Well, it means that we intend to double the amount of sales per gigawatt hour, which you can shorten in GWH. Doing so will achieve a reduction in energy consumption while still boosting economic growth, which is very much in line with our long-term vision. And it will require the development of unique measures so that we can really reduce the energy consumption while still maintaining that productivity of our factories. So we really look beyond improving our own energy productivity because customers will also have to be empowered to do the same through specialized solutions and technologies.
Wow, that's a significant commitment.
Yes, that is because increasing energy productivity is a very important measure in trying to curb the effects of climate change as the world gradually transitions into renewable energy sources.
And next to environmental, what about OMRON social goals and initiatives?
Yeah, so indeed, let's switch over to the S of ESG. We place a great importance on diversity and inclusion, human rights, and supply chain labor practices. In EMEA, we do that by looking at gender in our workforce, people managers, and management teams where we can. And we see where actions can actually bring a balance that is of added value. In the human rights area and fair labor practices, we follow the United Nations guiding principles on business and human rights. And I think also our commitment to human rights is visible in the fact that we became a member of the Responsible Business Alliance, or RBA, which is the world's largest industry coalition dedicated to responsible business conduct in global supply chains. And we joined that in January 2024. And following all of those best practices, we assess 100% of our suppliers for human rights due diligence and establish appropriate human redress mechanisms in all our countries and regions where we operate.
It's inspiring to see OMRON's dedication to social responsibility. But now, Anna, what about governance? How does OMRON ensure effective corporate governance?
OMRON has a corporate governance system in place to sustainably increase our corporate value and earn support of stakeholders. And I think our inclusion in leading sustainability rankings, such as the Dow Jones Sustainability Index or our platinum rating by EcoVadis, really shows the effectiveness of our governance system, because transparency and accountability in our operations is really important.
And you mentioned the platinum ranking of EcoVadis, right? Can you explain a bit more about EcoVadis? On what basis do they make this selection?
Yeah, of course. EcoVadis is the world's largest provider of business sustainable ratings. And in 2023, OMRON was awarded its third EcoVadis Platinum rating, which placed us in the top 1% of companies rated for their sustainability performance. And EcoVadis looks at 4 different measurement areas, which is environment, labor and human rights, sustainable procurement, and ethics.
So it's clear that OMRON is taking significant steps towards a more sustainable future, but I'm sure it may not be a piece of cake. What challenges do you anticipate on this journey, Anna?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good way to put it. It's definitely not a piece of cake. Sustainability is a very big challenge for all of us. And I think one challenge that we face is the complexity of data collection and transparency. As I just said, transparency is very important for us. And that's also due to the growing demand for transparency. You really have to get your data in order, but that's a puzzle. And as a global company, we recognize that the time and effort required to gather all of those insights into our value chain are necessary. But we also strongly believe that collaboration and common goals are crucial to ultimately overcome those challenges.
I really agree with you. Sustainability is a matter of, is a collective effort. So as we all want to make a contribution on that. And it's also one of the reasons why I like OMRON, because everyone is passionate to follow the mission in a literal sense, that is improving lives and contributing to a better society. But now, Anna, according to you, how can individuals, companies, and communities contribute to this journey?
I think, as you already mentioned just now, Andrea, that every small action also counts. That means that we as individuals can make sustainable choices in our own daily lives. Think about conserving energy or reducing waste. Companies also, in their own turn, have to adopt sustainable business practices in their operations and supply chains. But I think the key element is collaboration, especially between companies, customers, and partners. We have to create a community where sustainability becomes a way of life. And I believe that we have to look for trade-ons, so win-win situations for yourself or the company and the planet.
So, Anna, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing OMRON's ESG commitment and its sustainable legacy. It's been an enlightening conversation. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andrea. It was a pleasure discussing OMRON's sustainability journey with you.
Thank you. And thank you to to our listeners too, for tuning in to the OMRON Sustainability Podcast. Make sure to follow Anna Stammers on LinkedIn to stay up to date on OMRON's ESG journey, and see you next time. Stay curious and keep innovating to make this world a better place. Goodbye.